to sell our culture to the world? Do you think Ghana is doing well?
Well, Ghana is trying. Everybody is trying, and yes, I think when you travel, especially in the Caribbean, you notice that like a lot of similarities with our culture, right? Because most of our people of African descent were from Ghana, and it was surprisingly, I think. Early last year, the former vice president of Costa Rica invited me to speak to some of their youth over there. And it was shocked to you, some of the symbols that they were wearing, the jewelries, were African jewelries, particularly Ghana, the Sankofa, and then the Jinyami symbols and other stuff. And that's where you realize that your culture is actually being spread across. So it is up to us as a nation to actually develop a strategy to see how we can tap into that aspect of our culture, which have already been exposed to the West, and promote it to drive tourist investment in the country. And as I said, the year of return have already brought in billions of dollars. So we promoting that can generate a vast majority of tourist investment and even strategy to help our government raise funds and other stuff. So the creative sector is actually the big sector where if the country really prioritizes it the most, it can really generate a lot of money.
Nowadays, the youth, it seems you don't take our culture and our tradition, we don't take those things serious. What message do you have for those people?
Let me be realistic, especially when it comes to young people, especially on the African continent. Nobody's coming here to develop it for you.
Wow.
So you need to understand, where can I add value to my country so that I can be highly economically productive. And one of the initiatives that, especially early this year, we were working with the African Union to actually see how we can address some of these challenges young people face. Last month, during the International Youth Day, we through our organization, Africa Youth Forum International, we hosted a high-level dialogue where we invited the former president of Ethiopia, the former president of Prime Minister of Tunisia, the African Union Commissioner for Health and Humanitarian, the African Union AGA Secretariat, Ambassador Salah, and they all gave a little bit insight into what we need to do as African countries to enhance our youth. And the culture, the gig economy is the big thing, the blue economy, which is the ocean. How do we actually develop our ocean to attract a lot of foreigners? If we go to Dubai, they don't really have anything, but they actually focus much more on their tourism sector, right? And they generate billions and trillions of dollars from it. They don't need to even rely on their oil because they have promoted a lot of companies are moving to Dubai. Why? Because they have built enabling environment to host it. Sometimes when you speak with the diaspora, and they really want to come home, but the challenges is that it's the system that wants to receive them ready to receive them. And these are some of the things that when you speak with some of the diasporans, they say when they come here, they see us, we see them as ATM machines, you know.
Cash out money from them.
And it's a little bit concerning, but if we actually position ourselves in an economy whereby we value the people that are coming in, we give them home and other stuff. And I think very soon, I'm thinking last year the presidency actually gave citizenship to a lot of Africans and diasporans, and you realize the number of people, over 500 people, came to Ghana all because of citizenship. Why? Because through culture.
True.
We promoted our culture, they saw the value in our culture, and they identified themselves with the culture, especially the Caribbeans, the Latin Americans. They really want to come home, but is our system ready to host them? So these are some of the dialogue that is going on between us and the government to actually see how we can actually build an enabling environment for these young people, especially connecting the diasporans and the motherland to see how we can actually add economic value. So as a young person, what you need to do is listen. What exactly is happening? Because let me give you statistics. By the next 2030, young people's population will be around 2.5 billion globally, right? And yet, unemployment will skyrocket. Because why? Because the IMF and the World Bank have already given their job projection. By the 2050, 400 million jobs is expected to be created. So let's do the math. By 2030, you have 2.5 billion young people, yet your job capacity creation is 400 million. So how many people are going to be unemployment? Around 2.1 billion that are yet to be unemployed, despite the hype for AI, the hype for whatever. So it's up to you to see, okay, I don't need to just after school, I'm seeking for a job, but after school, I have the necessary skill set to get to create jobs for my fellows or even build my stability without not necessarily relying on the government. And also in Africa, when you come here, a lot of youth are more centered on government, I need job from government. When you go go to the US, it's not like that. US youth are more entrepreneurs. They're taking advantage of their technology, their systems, and their support system in order to actually promote and build their businesses. As early as 8-year-old, started even running their businesses. But here you have to wait till 30-something years before you start thinking of even starting a business. No, we need to restructure our education system in order to build an environment which is business friendly. That in that case, because last couple of days ago, I was having this important conversation during the National Youth Conference, which I was having a very interactive discussion with the Chief of Staff. And one of the things we said that we need to make sure that young people have the best business environment. A particular example was that while an average young person pays the same amount of money, right? So if you have an idea, let's say today you're starting a logistic company, your business as a youth, the money maybe somebody like Despite will pay in order to get that business registered. It's the same as you, the youth, paying to get it registered. Why are we doing that thing? I understand that there are certain laws that when you're a youth, you are kind of tax exempted, but it's how practical is it? Right? How many young people even know all these things? So it's about time that we leverage on our economy, we leverage on what we already have, and then we push it. If you listen to the Goldman Sachs report, Ghana will be part of the 30th biggest economy in the world by the year 2070. African countries are actually growing, but is it within a certain group of people, or are we dragging the average people on the street along? So these are dialogue we need to have down with our leaders and the youth to see how we can tap into the economy and other stuff. Now everybody is talking about youth, green economy, and other stuff. What are the young people doing in order to tap into those sectors and then build themselves? So all these things are things I think when the young people pay attention and not being much more focused on political space, but actually listening to the developed leaders, they're going to understand and have the opportunity right on their doorstep.
What role does YouTube and social media play?
You want the role? A particular example is Odemaya. He have already proven it that with social media, you can't even get diplomatic passport if you work so hard, right? It didn't come easy. It didn't come. I remember having a dialogue with him and seeing how far he have come. And everything starts from one, right? Rome is not built in a day. It takes years. And I remember one of the conversations when I had the opportunity with Afrofuturism Bank to meet Aliko Dangote. And first thing he says that the youth are so in a rush that they are not ready to build a long term. Nobody started. You don't build a house in a day.
Sure.
So why you want to build everything in a day? It takes years. It takes decades. You see the Aliko Dangote refinery that he's talking, it took him over 20 years to put it together.
And the youth are not ready to wait for that 20 years.
Imagine him having all the resources at his disposal. It took him a couple of years, struggles upon struggles. But yet here he is, everybody is celebrating him, the richest man and other stuff. It takes years. An average company, 95% of startup fails within a period of 5 years. So if you are building your startup, you should think about 10 years, 20 years plan, because a typical surviving business takes an average of 10 years in order for it to even make sustainability. So are you ready to play that long term? Facebook was not making money, right? Over 10 years,
Sure.
They were not even making a single. They reached break even, which is neither profit, neither loss, but they were not making any revenue. Why? Because their business model wasn't to make money instant. They understood that first build a system, a customer-based system, and then later on you leverage on the customer-based system that you have built over the years to make money. So they understood that for a very long time. So for me, I believe like taking the long-term goal and the long-term strategy, you will get there. But it starts, just starts. I see a lot of talks going on. I want to do this. Just start. Once you start, things nobody have figured it out. All the big people you see them and you inspire, you think all of them have figured it out? Nobody. I can tell you from experience, nobody have figured it out. They are one way or the other chasing something or building something. So you got to know, okay, in my small capacity, what can I do in order to build or be at the upper end? And for me, I'll always say networking is the key. Once you network, it gets you into bigger rooms. So focus on building the right content, the right knowledge, because one of the things I see young people also making is they want to go into something to make money, but they forget they should get knowledge first. Because even if you give you $1 billion today and you don't have knowledge to manage that $1 billion, you're going to lose it. 90% of gamblers who make $1 million in the state lose it in a 5 years. Why? Because they don't have the knowledge. So for me, I always advocate, if it's about tourism, if it's about investment, if it's about real estate, first master the principles of knowledge first, and then once you master those knowledge, you can actually build it from there.
Saw a post from Ashanti regional minister telling the youth to create content on the local, So what do you think they have to do to, change the mind of both the youth and some of our elders?
Let me give you a quote that was given to me. Power is not given, it's taken.
Wow.
So if you want somebody to come and help you, nobody's coming to help you. You gotta make it.
Say it again. Say it.
If you think somebody is coming to help you,
you say power is what? Taking.
Power is taken, it's not given.
Wow.
So nobody's going to give it to you. You need to fight for it. Look at the people that changed the continent. Do you think Kwame Nkrumah independent was just giving it to him because you are Kwame Nkrumah, so we should give you independent? No, he fought for it. Do you think Nelson Mandela sat in a day and then told the British that, hey, we want independent, and then they gave it to him? No, he fought for it. Nobody have ever changed the world without not fighting for it. So power, it's not given, it's taken. So but you got to position yourself in a room whereby everybody gets along. Because one of the things I've noticed is that everybody is doing things. When you meet young people, they are doing a great stuff. But the thing is, they are not united as a collective. But once you come together, you'll be able to move mountains. You'll be able to move stuff. Imagine, for instance, if you go to the chief